Sometimes we encounter people who fail to recognize the gifts, the treasures, the value right in front of them. They take for granted the very thing that could uplift, empower, and help them reach their highest potential. And by doing so, they let the real deal slip away. They let purpose pass them by. They let something precious, someone precious move on. This happens when they don't have the eyes to see, the heart to recognize, the wisdom to honor. But why? Why do they let the real deal slip away? It's because they are often blinded by their own pride, their selfish desires, their temporary satisfaction. They look at what's shiny, what's quick, what doesn't demand much from them. The real deal, though, it requires patience, humility, dedication, and a vision to see beyond the present moment. The real deal doesn't conform to superficial standards or momentary gains. No, it has a depth, a richness, and a purpose that is worth everything, yet costs everything. And that real deal might be you. You may have been the person who gave, who believed, who invested. You may have poured out your time, your love, your energy, and for what? To be overlooked, underappreciated, or taken for granted. But let me tell you something powerful. This wasn't a waste. You were a blessing, a hidden gem, and those who couldn't see it lost something rare, something irreplaceable. Their inability to see your worth doesn't decrease your value. It just means they weren't ready. They weren't able to receive what you brought. When people let the real deal slip away, they don't realize that what they've lost may not return. The moment of opportunity closes, what's missed today might never appear again in quite the same way. This is why we must live with discernment. We must see the good things, the real things, and honor them while we have them. Those who understand this don't let purpose, relationships, or opportunities slip by without valuing them deeply. So if you feel like you were overlooked, know this: you are still the real deal. You still hold the value, the purpose, the potential. You were not diminished because someone couldn't see it. In fact, you stand as a testament to what is rare, what is true, what is authentic. And in due time, there will be those who recognize and cherish it. Keep walking forward, keep standing in your truth, and let your light shine. Let those who missed it realize in time that they let something rare slip away. And that, my friend, is their loss, not yours. There are times when people have something of true value right in front of them, a person, an opportunity, a purpose, but they don't recognize it. They see it, they're aware of its presence, yet they don't understand the treasure they're overlooking. It's like they have the map to hidden riches, but can't see the X that marks the spot. And so they let it slip away, not because it lacked worth, but because they lacked the vision to see it. How often do we find people holding something extraordinary in their lives, yet dismissing it because they can't perceive its depth or significance? When true value appears, it often comes wrapped in humility and quiet strength, not shouting for attention, but standing firm in purpose. Yet, because it doesn't scream for validation or demand to be noticed, they miss it. Instead, they chase after what glitters, what's popular, what's easy, thinking that's where the real treasure lies. But the tragedy is that they're letting go of something rare, something authentic, something that could have enriched their lives beyond measure. It's not that the gift, the person, or the opportunity was not valuable. It's that they lacked the discernment to see it for what it truly was. They let the real deal slip away because they didn't understand what they had right there within their grasp. People are often blinded by their own pride, by selfish desires that push them to chase after temporary pleasures or quick rewards. When someone operates from a place of ego or a desire for instant gratification, they can easily overlook what is truly valuable. They focus on what's easy, what's flashy, what offers them immediate comfort or status, and in doing so, they miss the deeper, lasting things that require more commitment and humility. Pride, in particular, has a way of creating a barrier between us and real value. It makes people believe they deserve something better, something more, without seeing that the real gift is already present, waiting to be recognized and nurtured. Selfish desires, too, cloud a person's vision. They push individuals to think only of themselves, their needs, and their plans, leaving no space to appreciate the unique qualities of the people and opportunities around them. When people are focused on their own gains, they miss the strength, wisdom, and beauty in things that don't immediately cater to their needs or inflate their ego. This blindness to true value is costly. While they may gain what's quick or glamorous, they lose the enduring, life-changing gifts that only come to those willing to look deeper. And often, by the time they realize what they've overlooked, it's too late. The real deal has moved on, and they're left with fleeting things that will eventually lose their luster. The real deal doesn't come dressed in convenience or demand little from us. It requires patience, humility, and a willingness to invest deeply. True value doesn't always show itself with instant results or immediate rewards. It's something you have to nurture and protect over time. But the reality is, many people aren't willing to wait to put in the effort or to see the potential that only grows stronger with time and commitment. They prefer what's easy, what's quick, what doesn't challenge them to grow. But real purpose, real connection, real opportunity isn't something you grab on the run. It's something that demands your full attention, your presence, and your loyalty. It asks that you look beyond the surface and recognize the deeper qualities that can transform your life if you let them. And that takes humility to set aside pride, to honor what doesn't always seek the spotlight, and to appreciate it without needing constant validation or flashy rewards. Those who understand this are willing to put in the work, to be present, to be committed even when results aren't immediately visible. They know that the greatest things in life don't come cheap. When you're faced with the real deal, you can't rush it and you can't treat it like everything else. It requires a choice to value depth over ease, quality over quantity, and purpose over popularity. And those who are willing to choose this path will hold on to something real and lasting, something that can't be replaced by fleeting thrills or superficial gain. When you've invested in something or someone poured out your time, energy, and heart, it's natural to hope that it will be valued. But often those who give deeply, who care unconditionally, end up feeling overlooked or unappreciated. You might wonder why your efforts seem to go unnoticed, why the time and love you put in feels disregarded. It can be disheartening, especially when you've given so much of yourself, believing that others will see the value you bring. But remember this, your worth is not diminished simply because others fail to recognize it. Being overlooked doesn't erase the impact of what you've offered. Your dedication, your sacrifice, your authenticity, they are all marks of true value, whether others can see it or not. Sometimes people simply don't have the vision or maturity to recognize genuine worth. They might take it for granted, assuming that what you bring will always be available, or even overlook it in pursuit of what's shallow and temporary. But none of this affects your intrinsic value. You are still a person of substance, someone who brings light, strength, and meaning. It's easy to think that being overlooked is a reflection of your worth, but it's actually a reflection of others' limited perception. Your efforts and care remain intact, a powerful testimony to your character and resilience. In time, those who truly understand value will see and appreciate what you bring. Until then, let your worth stand unshaken and undiminished by anyone's inability to see it. When people fail to recognize your worth, it's tempting to question yourself, to wonder if you weren't enough or if you somehow fell short. But the truth is, their inability to see your value doesn't make you any less valuable. What others overlook or fail to appreciate doesn't take away from who you are or the impact you have. Their lack of awareness is not a measure of your worth. It's a reflection of their own limitations, their own inability to see the real deal standing right in front of them. Often people are simply not prepared to handle or appreciate true value. They might be caught up in their own ego, distracted by superficial things, or even intimidated by the strength, wisdom, and depth you bring. And so they take it for granted, assuming it will always be there, not understanding that rare qualities like authenticity, loyalty, and compassion don't come around every day. In overlooking these things, they're choosing a path that leads them further from what could truly enrich their lives. But remember, your value doesn't hinge on their perception. It's rooted in the depth of who you are, in the qualities you carry that are rare and enduring. Just because they don't acknowledge it doesn't mean it's not there. You remain a person of purpose, capable of making a lasting impact, regardless of others' ability to see it. Their lack of recognition doesn't reduce you, it only limits them. So stand firm in who you are. Know that your worth is not defined by fleeting opinions or short-sighted views, but by the essence of your true character, which remains strong and unshaken. When people let the real deal slip away, they often fail to realize that some moments of opportunity are irreplaceable. Life brings us encounters and chances that won't come around again, yet not everyone is prepared to seize them. There are doors that open only once, relationships that pass by like seasons, and moments where everything aligns, if only for a short time. But when people are distracted, indecisive, or focused on the wrong things, they miss these moments, letting them drift away without recognizing the magnitude of what they've lost. Opportunities tied to purpose, meaningful relationships, and growth aren't endlessly available. These gifts come when we are ready to recognize and honor them. If someone fails to value what's before them, it's like watching a ship set sail that won't return. The real deal isn't just another option on the table. It's unique, it's precious, and once it's gone, it might not appear in quite the same way again. Some losses are final, not because the opportunity lacked worth, but because they lacked time, lacked the willingness to appreciate it while it was there. And that's the essence of regret. They may realize one day that what slipped away was exactly what they needed, but by then it might be too late. They'll search for that same depth, that same quality, but it won't appear again in the same way. Life's meaningful encounters and moments don't wait. They call us to be ready, to be discerning, to see what's rare and honor it while it's within reach. When we don't, we end up with memories of what could have been, knowing that we let the real deal slip away. Living with discernment means having the ability to recognize what's truly valuable in the present moment and understanding its significance before it's too late. It's easy to take for granted the things that are steady, reliable, and deeply meaningful because they aren't always loud or demanding. But discernment is what separates those who truly live with purpose from those who move through life reacting only to what's easy or superficial. It calls for an awareness that goes beyond the surface, a vision to see what is rare and worth treasuring in real time. When someone lives with discernment, they understand that meaningful connections, opportunities, and experiences are not just background noise, they're precious gifts. They don't wait for hindsight to show them what was important. They have the presence of mind to honor it now. Discernment requires a heart that's open to wisdom, that sees beyond immediate gratification and values things that might demand patience, respect, and care. It's the ability to understand that what's here today may not be here tomorrow, and that failing to value it in the present means risking regret. Without discernment, people rush past the best parts of life, dismissing or ignoring what is actually vital to their growth, happiness, or purpose. They might chase after shiny distractions or seek validation in temporary things, all while letting the real treasures pass them by unnoticed. Those who lack discernment only realize too late that they've let something priceless slip away. Living with discernment is choosing to see, value, and protect the important things while they are within reach, because once they're gone, no amount of regret can bring them back. If you've ever felt taken for granted or overlooked, know that your true value remains, regardless of how others may perceive you. Sometimes we give our time, our love, our dedication, and we expect that it will be appreciated. But when others don't see it, it can make us question our own worth. We may wonder if what we offered was somehow lacking, if we didn't do enough, or if we didn't matter as much as we thought. Yet being underappreciated doesn't mean you lack value. It means others weren't ready or able to recognize it. You carry qualities that are rare, ones that bring strength, depth, and authenticity. These are gifts that not everyone is prepared to appreciate because they often require maturity, understanding, and vision to fully grasp. Just because someone can't see the beauty and impact of what you bring doesn't mean it's not there. You are still a person of great worth, filled with purpose, and deserving of respect. The issue lies not in your offering, but in the other person's inability to see its worth. It's easy to feel diminished when others fail to value us, but remember that this is a reflection of them, not you. Their lack of appreciation doesn't define who you are. It simply reveals their capacity or lack thereof. You remain whole, undiminished by anyone's inability to see the depth and quality of what you bring to the table. Don't let the small-mindedness or short-sightedness of others shrink your self-worth. Stand firm in the knowledge that you are valuable just as you are, regardless of whether someone else sees it. Your worth is not contingent on being recognized by others. It exists independently, rooted in who you are and the unique gifts you bring. Continue to stand in your truth with confidence and resilience, knowing that true value doesn't fade just because it's unseen. There will come a time and a place where others will honor what you bring. Until then, trust in your worth and let it shine, undeterred by those who may not yet be ready to see it. When you feel undervalued or taken for granted, it's important to remember that you are not defined by the perceptions of others. Instead, recognize that your true worth is unshakable and will eventually draw the right people to you, people who see you for who you really are and appreciate the unique qualities you possess. It's crucial to stay authentic, remaining true to your values, passions, and purpose, even when it feels like others are missing the point. Time has a way of revealing true intentions and values. Those who fail to see your worth today may find themselves reflecting on their choices tomorrow. They may realize that you were the light they needed, the partner who understood them, or the friend who always showed up. As you continue to stand in your authenticity, you'll attract those who resonate with your energy, your vision, and your integrity. Being overlooked can feel isolating, but it's a part of the journey that prepares you for the right connections. The key is to hold on to your confidence and not compromise your essence in search of validation. The more you shine in your authenticity, the more you'll create a magnetic presence that naturally draws others who recognize and appreciate the real deal. In a world filled with superficial interactions, genuine authenticity stands out. It's magnetic, it attracts the right people who see your value and are willing to invest in a relationship that mirrors your depth. So embrace your individuality, your strengths, and the unique perspectives you bring. Trust that the right people will come into your life at the right time, and they will recognize your worth without hesitation. Until then, remain steadfast in your value and be patient. Your authenticity will always find its rightful audience. Letting the real deal slip away often comes with a heavy burden of regret, particularly when we realize what we've lost in hindsight. Regret can be a powerful teacher, but it can also weigh us down if we let it. It's vital to recognize that while these feelings are natural, they should not define our future actions. Instead, we can use regret as a catalyst for growth and awareness, prompting us to reevaluate how we approach opportunities, relationships, and life itself. Regret teaches us to be more mindful. It encourages us to appreciate what we have while we have it, to value moments and to cherish connections before they become memories. The pain of losing something or someone we undervalued can ignite a spark within us, compelling us to be more attentive and discerning in the future. We begin to recognize the importance of being present, of fully engaging with the people and opportunities around us, and of understanding their worth. This transformation isn't about wallowing in what went wrong. It's about learning to identify what is truly valuable moving forward. Each moment carries potential, each relationship has depth, and each opportunity holds the chance for growth and fulfillment. When we learn from our regrets, we become more equipped to navigate life with an open heart and a discerning mind. We stop taking things for granted, realizing that life's most precious gifts often come wrapped in everyday moments. Moreover, regret can serve as a reminder that we are capable of making better choices. It inspires a proactive approach to life, urging us to seize the day and act with intention. When we understand the lessons that regret imparts, we can move forward with a renewed commitment to recognize and embrace the real deal. Instead of allowing regret to anchor us in the past, we can use it as a stepping stone toward a more fulfilling, intentional future where we actively seek and appreciate what truly matters in life. In conclusion, the journey of recognizing and valuing the real deal in our lives is one filled with lessons, challenges, and profound opportunities for growth. While it's easy to overlook what truly matters, we must commit ourselves to living with discernment, appreciating the depth and richness of our experiences, relationships, and opportunities. Every moment offers a choice to engage fully, to recognize the unique value around us, and to honor the connections that can profoundly impact our lives. As we navigate this journey, Let us remember that our worth is not defined by the perceptions of others, but by the authenticity and integrity we carry within ourselves. Embrace the lessons of regret, allowing them to propel you toward greater mindfulness and appreciation. Let your past experiences shape a future filled with purpose, where you actively seek out the real deal and cherish it without reservation. Ultimately, life is too precious to let the real deal slip away. Stand firm in your value, remain true to your authentic self, and trust that the right people and opportunities will come your way. Together, let us commit to living fully, appreciating the extraordinary amidst the ordinary, and ensuring that we never miss the chance to embrace the real deal that life has to offer. There are times in life when we encounter people who intentionally or unintentionally seek to hurt us. They damaged you on purpose. They knew exactly what they were doing. They spoke words that cut deep, made decisions that undermined your confidence, and took actions that shattered your spirit. Perhaps they were motivated by jealousy, fear, or the desire to control. But whatever their reasons, the impact was real, and it left you feeling broken, betrayed, and abandoned. But I want to remind you today that no matter how deep the wounds they inflicted, no matter how deliberate their attempts to break you down, they cannot destroy what God has placed within you. You are not defined by what people did to you. You are defined by what God created you to be. You are a masterpiece, fearfully and wonderfully made, and no amount of damage inflicted by others can change that. When Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery, they did so with the intention to harm him. They wanted to erase his dreams, to eliminate his potential, and to bury his destiny. But God turned what was meant for evil into something good. You see, people can plan, plot, and even execute their intentions to hurt you, but they cannot override God's plans for your life. They can attempt to damage you, but they cannot destroy the purpose God has embedded in your very being. You may have been hurt, but you are not defeated. You may have been betrayed, but you are not abandoned. You may have been scarred, but you are not destroyed. God is a master using broken pieces to create something beautiful. He takes the fragments of our pain, our rejection, our hurt, and he molds them into a testimony of his grace, power, and love. Your story is not over because someone damaged you. Your story is just beginning. So stand tall, lift your head up, and reclaim your strength. Remember that the damage they inflicted does not define you. It is merely a part of your journey, a chapter in your book, and God is still writing the rest. Do not let bitterness take root in your heart. Do not allow anger or resentment to steal your peace. Instead, allow God to use every wound, every scar, and every hurt to elevate you to a place where his glory is revealed in your life. Forgive those who damaged you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Release them from your heart, not because it makes what they did okay, but because it frees you to walk in the fullness of what God has for you. Remember, no one can take from you what God has ordained for you. They may have damaged you, but they did not define you. God is the one who defines you, and he says you are blessed, you are chosen, you are loved, and you are his. Trust in his process, lean into his promises, and watch how he turns every act meant to damage you into a stepping stone for your destiny. They may have damaged you intentionally, but God will use it to bless you beyond measure. Denying the reality of the pain you've experienced, the hurt that has been inflicted upon you was deliberate and calculated. They knew exactly what they were doing when they spoke those harsh words, when they made those decisions behind your back, when they manipulated situations to see you falter. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. It was an intentional act to break your spirit, to cause you to question your worth, to make you feel small, unworthy, and unlovable. The pain of betrayal, of being undermined, or of being used, those are not wounds that heal overnight. It's important to acknowledge that what you went through was real. Too often we try to bury our pain, ignore it, or act like it didn't happen. But suppressing it only causes it to fester and grow. We can't heal what we don't acknowledge. You have to confront the reality that they damaged you on purpose. They aimed at your heart, at your confidence, at your identity, and they succeeded in causing hurt. And it is okay to admit that it hurt deeply. Acknowledge the sleepless nights, the tears that fell, the feeling of betrayal that kept you awake. Recognize the moments when you felt utterly alone, questioning your worth, your value, and your place in this world. It is okay to admit that the pain was overwhelming, that it knocked the wind out of you, that it caused you to stumble, to doubt, to fear. It is okay to say, yes, I am hurting, because healing begins with truth. And the truth is, they damaged you intentionally. But know this: acknowledging your pain is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of your humanity. It is the first step toward reclaiming your strength. Admitting that you've been hurt is not surrendering to the pain. It's refusing to allow that pain to define you or dictate your future. Acknowledging it allows you to start the process of healing, to allow God to meet you right where you are in the midst of your brokenness and begin to do the work of restoration. It is crucial to understand that those who intentionally damaged you did not do so without reason. They may have acted out of jealousy, seeing something in you that threatened them, your light, your potential, your promise. They might have been intimidated by the greatness they sensed within you, even if you could not see it in yourself. Sometimes people will try to dim your light simply because it shines too brightly for their comfort. They saw the gifts, the talents, and the favor on your life, and rather than celebrate it, they chose to tear it down. Maybe their actions were driven by fear of losing control, fear of their own inadequacies being exposed by your excellence, fear of change, or fear that you might surpass them. When people are insecure about their place in life, they often project those insecurities onto others. They try to belittle you, to keep you small, so they can feel bigger. It is their fear that fueled their actions, not your lack of worth or capability. There may have been those who sought to control you, who used their words or actions as weapons to manipulate and manage your steps. They wanted to mold you to fit their expectations, to keep you confined within the limitations of their vision for your life. They knew the power of their influence, and they wielded it with precision, hoping to bend your will, to crush your spirit, to make you conform. They may have done it out of a desire to dominate, to keep you dependent, to make you doubt yourself so they could always feel needed or superior. But here is the truth: their motives, no matter how deep or dark, have nothing to do with who you are or what you are worth. Their actions were a reflection of their own brokenness, their own fears, their own insecurities. It was never about you, it was about them. You see, people will often project their pain onto others, trying to control what they cannot control within themselves. They may have damaged you, but it was their own damage, their own unhealed wounds and unresolved conflicts that drove them to act as they did. Understanding this does not excuse their behavior, but it helps you to see it for what it truly is: a desperate attempt to fill their void, to calm their fears, to address their inadequacies. They did it intentionally, yes, but it was born out of their own struggles, their own lack of peace. They saw something in you that they lacked in themselves, and instead of being inspired by it, they chose to attack it. Recognizing their motives helps you to take back your power. It shifts the narrative from what's wrong with me to what was wrong with them. It allows you to see that their actions were not a verdict on your value, but a window into their own pain and brokenness. It gives you the perspective you need to rise above, to forgive, and to move forward, knowing that what they did says more about them than it ever could about you. Even though they may have hurt you deliberately, their actions do not have the final say over your life. People may plot, scheme, and intentionally try to damage you, but their plans are nothing compared to the plans God has for you. When God has ordained a purpose for your life, no human intention, no weapon formed against you, and no plot against your destiny can prevail. The damage they intended may have seemed devastating, but it is not the end of your story. God's plan for you is greater, deeper, and more powerful than any scheme designed to harm you. Think about Joseph, who was betrayed by his own brothers. They plotted against him, sold him into slavery, and left him for dead, hoping to erase his dreams and extinguish his future. Yet what they did not know was that every step back, every hardship was a part of God's divine plan to elevate Joseph to a position far greater than they could have ever imagined. What they meant for evil, God turned into good. He used their actions to place Joseph exactly where he needed to be to fulfill his destiny. You see, God's plan is always greater than man's intentions. God sees beyond the pain and the betrayal. He knows how to turn every wound into wisdom, every trial into triumph, and every stumbling block into a stepping stone. The very things that were meant to destroy you, he will use to develop you, to build your character, to strengthen your faith, and to prepare you for the greatness that he has in store for you. God's plan is always bigger than the human mind can comprehend. His purpose is to prosper you, to give you hope, and to provide you with a future that exceeds your expectations. You may have been damaged, but you are not defeated. You may have been hurt, but you are not hopeless. The plans of man can never overrule the plans of God. When God says you are chosen, no one can unchoose you. When he declares that you are blessed, no one can curse you. When he has set a course for your life, no one can derail it. God's purpose is unstoppable, unshakable, and immovable. It stands firm through every storm, every attack, and every scheme of the enemy. Trust that even in your pain, God is working. Even when you can't see it, he is moving things in your favor. Even when you feel like you're surrounded by enemies, remember that you are surrounded by God's love, and his plans for you are greater than any plan against you. He is the master architect of your life, and he knows how to take every broken piece and build something beautiful. Believe that his plan for you is still intact, despite the damage others tried to cause. He is the God who makes all things new, who restores what was lost, who heals what was broken, and who lifts up those who have been cast down. They may have damaged you intentionally, but God's plan will not be deterred. Trust in his purpose for you and know that his plans will always prevail over every scheme designed to harm you. You are not defined by the damage others tried to cause you. You are not the sum of the wounds you've endured, nor are you the broken pieces left behind by someone else's cruelty or carelessness. The hurt they inflicted does not determine your identity or your worth. The words they spoke, the actions they took, the betrayal you faced, these do not define who you are. You are more than what has happened to you. You are more than the pain you have felt. People may have tried to label you based on your pain, but those labels do not have power over you. They may have called you weak, unworthy, unlovable, or damaged goods. They may have tried to define you by your lowest moments, your mistakes, or the challenges you faced. But let me tell you, their words and actions do not have the final say. Your true identity comes from the one who created you, the one who knows you intimately, and the one who has declared you valuable, chosen, and loved. You are defined by God's truth, not by man's judgment. God does not see you as broken, he sees you as whole. He does not see you as damaged, he sees you as destined. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, crafted with care, purpose, and divine intention. No amount of damage can change that. Your value is intrinsic, unshakable, and everlasting because it is rooted in God himself. Remember, diamonds are formed under pressure and pearls are created from irritation. It is often in the deepest struggles and most intense pain that the most beautiful things are born. Your pain is not a reflection of who you are, but rather a sign of the strength that resides within you. It is proof that you have survived, that you have endured, and that you are still standing. The cracks in your heart are not signs of defeat. They are evidence of resilience. Think about the story of Job. He lost everything, his family, his wealth, his health. He was damaged in every way imaginable, but those losses did not define him. God saw beyond his pain and restored him double for his trouble. Job's value was never diminished by the damage he endured. In fact, it was through his suffering that God's glory was revealed in a greater measure. The same is true for you. Do not let your scars define you. Let them remind you of your strength. Do not let the damage make you feel unworthy or incapable. Know that you are still whole, still valuable, still chosen, and still capable of fulfilling the purpose God has for you. Your worth was established long before anyone tried to harm you, and it remains intact no matter what others have done to you. God sees you through the lens of his love and grace, not through the lens of your past or your pain. He calls you his child, his masterpiece, his beloved. That is who you are. So stand tall and declare with confidence that you are not defined by the damage. You are defined by the one who made you, by the one who loves you, and by the one who holds your future in his hands. The damage they intended for you does not have to be the end of your story. In fact, that very damage can be transformed into a source of immense strength. What they meant to break, you can become the foundation on which you build your resilience, your courage, and your determination. When you learn to turn damage into strength, you are taking back the power that was taken from you. You are refusing to be a victim of your circumstances and choosing instead to rise above them. Every experience of pain, every moment of betrayal, and every wound inflicted can become a tool in your growth and transformation. Just as a seed must be buried in darkness before it can sprout into life, sometimes we must endure the darkness of hurt and damage before we can truly grow into the fullness of who we are meant to be. The damage was not meant to define you, it was meant to refine you. God uses these experiences to shape you, to sharpen you, to mold you into a stronger, more compassionate, and more resilient person. Think of the gold that is refined by fire. It goes through an intense process of heating and melting, and it is only through this fiery trial that all impurities are burned away, leaving behind pure, precious gold. Your pain is like that fire. It may be hot, it may be intense, but it is also purifying. It is removing what is not necessary. It is burning away what does not serve you, and it is revealing the beauty and strength that lies within. What you went through is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter where your strength is unveiled. God can take every bit of damage and use it to build you up. He can take the broken pieces and craft them into something even more beautiful. He can transform your wounds into wisdom, your scars into strength, and your pain into power. Those who damaged you thought they were weakening you, but in reality, they were setting the stage for your greatest comeback. They were unknowingly participating in a divine process of transformation where your weaknesses become your strengths. Look at the Apostle Paul, who faced countless trials, persecutions, and suffering. He was beaten, imprisoned, and shipwrecked. Yet Paul did not allow these experiences to weaken his spirit. Instead, he turned every adversity into an opportunity to showcase the power of God within him. He declared that in his weakness, God's strength was made perfect. Paul's trials became his testimonies, and his pain became his platform to preach hope and resilience to the world. What was meant to silence him only amplified his voice. You too have the power to turn your damage into strength. Start by refusing to see yourself as a victim. Recognize that every difficult experience has a lesson and a purpose. Use those lessons to grow, to evolve, and to become stronger. Don't let your pain be in vain. Let it be the fuel that propels you toward your destiny. Embrace your scars, for they are a testament to your survival. Wear them as badges of honor, knowing that they signify not just what you have been through, but how you have overcome. Turn your damage into strength by choosing forgiveness over bitterness, faith over fear, and love over hate. Each time you choose to rise above, each time you choose to forgive, each time you choose to keep moving forward despite the pain, you are turning your damage into strength. You are declaring that you are not what happened to you, you are what you choose to become. Remember, a tree that has weathered many storms has deeper roots. It stands firm, not because it was never battered, but because every storm taught it how to dig deeper, how to hold on stronger. You are like that tree. Every trial, every hardship, every piece of damage has given you roots that run deep, roots that will hold you steady, no matter what comes your way. So stand strong. Turn the damage into strength. Let the very things that were meant to break you become the things that build you. Let the pain push you closer to your purpose. Let the hurt make you humble, the rejection make you resilient, and the damage make you determined. Remember, you are not defined by what they did to you. You are defined by how you rise from it. And with God on your side, you will always rise stronger. When others intentionally damage you, it can feel like all is lost. The pain, the betrayal, and the wounds seem too deep to heal, too raw to overcome. But there is a power greater than any hurt or harm inflicted upon you, God's transformative power. His power can take the brokenness and turn it into beauty, the ashes and turn them into glory, the sorrow and turn it into joy. What was meant to destroy you becomes the very thing God uses to elevate you. God's transformative power is unlike anything in this world. It takes what is damaged and makes it whole. It takes what is shattered and makes it stronger. When God steps into your situation, he doesn't just repair what was broken, he transforms it into something far greater than it was before. He turns your pain into purpose, your wounds into wisdom, your trials into testimonies, and your setbacks into setups for something more significant. Think of the story of Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused and thrown into prison. Joseph experienced damage that was both intentional and severe. But God's transformative power was at work even in those darkest moments. Through every betrayal and hardship, God was molding Joseph into the man he needed to be. He was preparing Joseph for a position of authority, a place where he could save not only his family, but an entire nation. God's power transformed Joseph's suffering into a powerful testimony of his grace and provision. The very things meant to destroy him became the stepping stones to his destiny. The same transformative power is available to you. God can take every bit of damage, the hurtful words, the betrayals, the losses, and use them for his glory. He can take the mess and make it a message. God specializes in using what the world sees as useless, broken, or beyond repair, and transforming it into something extraordinary. His power is limitless. He is able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ever ask or imagine. What you see as a setback, God sees as a setup for something far greater. Remember the story of Ruth. After losing her husband and facing an uncertain future, Ruth could have easily given in to despair. She could have allowed the damage and loss to define her, but God's transformative power was at work. Ruth chose to remain faithful, to trust God's plan even in her pain, and as a result, God placed her in the lineage of Jesus Christ. What seemed like an ending was only the beginning of something magnificent. Her story is a powerful reminder that no matter how damaged or broken you feel, God's power can turn your situation around. Do not underestimate the power of God to change your circumstances. Do not limit what he can do with the pieces of your life that seem shattered beyond repair. He is the potter and you are the clay. He can take what is marred and make it beautiful again. He can mold you, shape you, and transform you into a vessel of honor and purpose. He can use your deepest pain to reveal his greatest glory. God's transformative power means that nothing is wasted. Every tear, every trial, every ounce of pain can be turned into something meaningful. He can use your experiences to strengthen you, to build your character, and to prepare you for the next season of your life. He turns your mourning into dancing, your sorrow into joy. His power works in ways we cannot always see or understand, but he is always at work, transforming and redeeming every part of your story. Trust in God's power to transform your pain. Surrender your brokenness to him and watch how he takes the pieces and makes them into something beautiful. Know that he is not just a healer, he is a redeemer. He will not only heal your wounds, but use them to show the world what his love and grace can do. You are not defined by the damage, but by the divine power at work in you. You are a living testimony of God's ability to transform even the worst situations into a demonstration of his glory and goodness. So let go of the hurt and trust in his transformative power. Believe that he is working everything out for your good, even when it doesn't feel like it. Allow him to transform your pain into purpose, your wounds into wisdom, and your scars into stars that guide others to him. Remember, there is nothing too broken for God to restore, nothing too damaged for him to redeem, and nothing too lost for him to find and make new again. When others have damaged you intentionally, it is natural to feel bitterness and resentment. The hurt they cause can weigh heavily on your heart, leaving you feeling angry, betrayed, and wounded. But holding on to bitterness and resentment only binds you to the very pain you wish to escape. These emotions can become a prison, trapping you in a cycle of anger and hurt, preventing you from moving forward. To truly heal and step into the freedom that God has for you, you must release the bitterness and resentment that weigh you down. Letting go of bitterness and resentment is not about excusing what was done to you or pretending the pain does not exist. It is about choosing to break free from the chains of unforgiveness. When you hold on to bitterness, you allow the actions of others to have continued control over your life. You give them the power to dictate your emotions, your thoughts, and even your future. But you were created to live in freedom, not in the bondage of anger and resentment. God calls us to forgive not because the offense was small, but because he knows that forgiveness is the key to our freedom. When you release bitterness, you are not saying that what happened was okay. You are saying that you refuse to let it define you. You refuse to let the actions of others have power over your peace, your joy, and your purpose. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, a gift that releases you from the past and opens the door to healing. Think about Jesus on the cross. As he hung there, battered and bruised, he looked upon those who had caused his suffering and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. In that moment, Jesus showed us that forgiveness is an act of strength, not weakness. He chose to release bitterness even in his deepest pain, because he understood that forgiveness is the path to freedom and the fulfillment of God's purpose. Releasing bitterness and resentment allows God's healing power to flow into your life. It makes room for his peace to settle in your heart, for his love to fill the broken places, and for his grace to transform your pain. When you let go of resentment, you are allowing God to be the righteous judge. You are trusting him to handle the situation in his way and in his time. You are putting your faith in his justice rather than trying to take matters into your own hands. Remember that bitterness and resentment are like poison. They may feel justified, but they only serve to harm you, not the person who hurt you. They cloud your vision, steal your joy, and hinder your spiritual growth. But when you choose to release them, you open yourself to God's healing. You allow his light to shine in the darkest corners of your heart. You invite his peace to replace the pain. Releasing bitterness also means choosing to love yourself enough to let go. It means acknowledging that you deserve to live in peace, not in the turmoil of resentment. You deserve to walk in freedom, not in the shadows of past hurts. You are worthy of a future that is not defined by what was done to you, but by the destiny God has for you. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting, but it does mean freeing. It means taking back your power, reclaiming your peace, and trusting God to handle the rest. It is a decision to rise above the hurt and to refuse to let the actions of others dictate your life any longer. It is a choice to move forward, to grow, and to thrive. So release the bitterness and resentment. Let them go and watch how God begins to heal your heart, restore your joy, and renew your strength. Trust that he will bring justice where it is due, and that he will use every experience, even the painful ones, for your ultimate good. Remember, you are not what happened to you. You are who God says you are. And he says you are free, you are loved, and you are whole. Choose to walk in that freedom today. Forgiveness is not just a word, it is an act of liberation, a choice that leads to true freedom. When others have damaged you intentionally, forgiveness can seem impossible, even unjust. You may feel that forgiving them means excusing their actions or letting them off the hook for the pain they caused. But forgiveness is not about them, it is about you. It is about setting yourself free from the chains of the past so that you can move forward into the life God has planned for you. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door to freedom. It frees you from the heavy burden of anger, bitterness, and resentment. When you forgive, you release yourself from the prison of pain that others have tried to keep you in. You are choosing to no longer be defined by what happened to you, but by how you rise above it. You are choosing to let go of the bitterness that holds you back and instead embrace the peace that God offers. Forgiveness is not an emotion, it is a decision. It is a deliberate choice to say, I will not allow what they did to me to control my life any longer. It is deciding to trust God with your pain, to give it to him and let him deal with it in his perfect way. Forgiveness is an act of faith, believing that God can heal what is broken, restore what was lost, and make all things new. Look at the story of Stephen in the book of Acts. As he was being stoned to death, he looked up to heaven and asked God to forgive those who were killing him. He knew that forgiveness was the pathway to peace, even in the most painful of circumstances. Stephen understood that his freedom was not tied to the actions of others, but to his choice to forgive. In his final moments, he experienced a divine peace that surpassed all understanding, a peace that came from knowing he had forgiven and released those who meant to harm him. Forgiveness is a powerful tool that God has given us to live in freedom. When you forgive, you are not condoning the actions of those who hurt you. Instead, you are choosing to free yourself from the power those actions have over your life. You are taking back control, choosing peace over pain, and allowing God to work through you. Forgiveness is also a form of self-love. It is recognizing that you deserve to live in peace and joy, not in the turmoil of resentment. You deserve to be free from the emotional bondage that comes with holding on to grudges. When you forgive, you are saying to yourself, I love myself enough to let go of what is hurting me. I am choosing to move forward, to grow and to heal. Remember, Jesus taught us to forgive not just once, but 70 times 7. He knew that forgiveness is not a one-time act, but a continual process. It is a daily decision to let go of the offense, to release the hurt, and to trust God with the outcome. He knew that without forgiveness, our hearts could become hardened and our spirits could become heavy with the weight of unhealed wounds. Forgiveness is an act of strength, not weakness. It takes great courage to forgive those who have hurt you deeply. But in doing so, you are aligning yourself with God's heart, with His love and His grace. You are becoming more like Him, embodying His character and living out His command to love even your enemies. And in that act of obedience, there is immense freedom. So choose forgiveness, not for them, but for you. Forgive because you want to be free. Forgive because you refuse to let the damage done to you define your destiny. Forgive because you trust in a God who heals, who restores, and who makes all things new. When you forgive, you are not just releasing others, you are releasing yourself into the fullness of life that God has for you. Forgiveness may not always be easy, but it is always worth it. It is the bridge that takes you from the pain of the past into the promise of a brighter future. It is the door through which healing walks in and bitterness walks out. It is the path to freedom, to peace, and to a life that is no longer held captive by the actions of others. Choose to forgive and choose to be free. When others intentionally damage you, it can feel like your identity and purpose are under attack. Their actions may leave you questioning who you are and what you are meant to do. They may have tried to diminish your sense of self-worth and cloud your vision of your purpose. But no matter what has happened to you, your identity and purpose remain intact, and it is up to you to reclaim them. Reclaiming your identity starts with understanding that you are not defined by the damage done to you. You are not what others say you are, nor are you the sum of their criticisms or betrayals. Your true identity is rooted in who God says you are. You are a child of God, created in His image, fearfully and wonderfully made. Your value is inherent and unshakable, regardless of the hurt inflicted upon you. The opinions of others do not alter the truth of your worth. Recognize that you have been uniquely designed with gifts, talents, and a divine purpose. Your purpose is not contingent on the approval or acceptance of others, but on the divine plan God has for your life. The damage they caused may have wounded you, but it cannot erase the calling on your life. It cannot diminish the unique contributions you are meant to make in this world. Reclaiming your purpose means reaffirming your commitment to the vision God has placed in your heart, despite the setbacks. Think of Joseph once again. Despite being betrayed by his brothers and imprisoned unjustly, Joseph did not lose sight of his purpose. He continued to use his gifts, interpret dreams, and serve faithfully, even in the darkest of circumstances. His identity and purpose were not lost in his trials. They were refined and elevated. By the time he was elevated to a position of great authority, he was prepared and equipped to fulfill his purpose with wisdom and grace. Joseph's story reminds us that our identity and purpose can withstand even the greatest of adversities. Reclaiming your identity also involves rejecting the lies and negative labels that others may have tried to place upon you. They may have tried to tell you that you are not enough, that you are broken beyond repair, or that you will never achieve your dreams. But these are lies designed to keep you from realizing your full potential. Your identity is not determined by these lies, but by the truth of God's word. Stand firm in who you are in Christ and reject any identity that is based on the hurt and harm others have inflicted upon you. Purpose often emerges from pain and adversity. The trials you have faced can become the backdrop for the very purpose you are meant to fulfill. Your experiences, though painful, can give you a unique perspective and compassion that equips you to help others who are facing similar struggles. The damage done to you can become a powerful testimony of God's redemption and grace. Your purpose may very well be intertwined with the healing and restoration you have experienced. Reclaiming your purpose also means taking proactive steps to align your life with the vision God has given you. It means setting goals, pursuing dreams, and living out your calling with courage and conviction. Even in the face of challenges, you have the power to move forward and make choices that reflect your true identity and purpose. Engage in activities that bring you joy, seek out opportunities to serve others, and surround yourself with people who affirm your worth and support your journey. Lastly, reclaiming your identity and purpose requires you to embrace the truth that you are a work in progress. Healing and growth take time, and it is okay to be on a journey of discovering and living out your full potential. Be patient with yourself and trust in the process. Each step you take towards reclaiming your identity and purpose is a step towards greater fulfillment and joy. Remember, the damage inflicted upon you does not have the power to define you or deter your purpose. You have the strength and the divine support to rise above the hurt and walk confidently in your true identity and purpose. Reclaim what was rightfully yours, your worth, your calling, and your destiny. Embrace the truth of who you are and move forward with the assurance that your life has great value and purpose. With God's guidance and strength, you can overcome the damage and shine brightly in the fullness of your true self. Sometimes we question why certain people are removed from our lives. We don't understand why those we held close are suddenly distant, or why relationships we cherish dissolve. But let me remind you today that God never removes anyone without a divine purpose. Every person in your life plays a role, but not everyone is meant to be there forever. There are times when God steps in to protect you from what you cannot see. You see, God knows the future. He knows the paths we will walk, and He knows the hearts of people even when we do not. When God removes someone from your life, it's not rejection, it's redirection. You may feel pain, loss, or confusion in the moment, but trust this God is creating space. Space for new opportunities, new growth, and new relationships that align with His plan for your life. Sometimes the people around you cannot go where God is taking you. Their season in your life has come to an end because their purpose in your journey is complete. Don't be bitter when people leave or when God closes doors. Don't chase after those God has removed. Instead, focus on where God is leading you. Understand that every removal is also a release. God is releasing you from attachments that no longer serve your destiny. He is making room for something greater. Remember, this God is always working for your good, even when you cannot see it. Trust Him in the process, for He is aligning everything according to His perfect will. The people He removes were part of your preparation, but not part of your final destination. So keep your eyes on God. He is leading you towards something far greater than you can imagine. Keep moving forward in faith, knowing that what lies ahead is better than what is left behind. Removes anyone from your life without a divine purpose. Every individual we encounter is placed in our path for a reason, but not all are meant to stay permanently. You must understand that God operates with a plan far beyond what we can comprehend. He orchestrates every detail, every interaction with your destiny in mind. When someone is removed, it's not by accident or coincidence, it's by divine design. We often cling to relationships because they feel comfortable or familiar, but comfort is not always in line with purpose. God sees the bigger picture. He knows the seasons of our lives and the role each person is meant to play. There are times when God removes someone because they have fulfilled their purpose in your life, or maybe you fulfilled your purpose in theirs. In either case, God's timing is perfect. It may not always make sense to us in the moment, but His ways are higher than ours. When you understand this, you will begin to trust that every removal is part of a greater plan, one that leads to the unfolding of your true potential and purpose. God removes people not as a punishment, but as a preparation. He's positioning you for what's next, making room for growth, for new opportunities, and for the people who will help propel you into the next chapter of your life. So don't mourn over what God has removed. Celebrate what He is preparing you for. What may feel like a loss is often a divine setup for your elevation. Trust in His purpose, for God is always working for your good. God sees what you cannot see. He knows the hearts of people even when you don't. He looks beyond the surface, beyond the mask people wear, and understands their true intentions and the impact they have on your life and future. When God removes someone, it's not just about letting go, It's often about protecting you. You see, there are relationships that may seem harmless, but they can hinder your progress, block your blessings, or even steer you away from your divine purpose. God, in his infinite wisdom, sees the traps and dangers ahead. He knows the harm that could come if certain people stay in your life too long. Maybe they're leading you in the wrong direction, or maybe their presence is stunting your growth. Whatever the case may be, God removes them to shield you from unseen damage. You might not understand the removal in the moment, but it's important to trust that God is acting as your protector. Sometimes we get attached to people who are no longer serving our well-being or our calling. And when we try to hold on to them, we end up hurting ourselves in the long run. But God steps in because he loves you too much to allow you to be led astray. It's like a parent guiding a child away from danger. The child may not know why, but the parent does. In the same way, God removes people to safeguard your journey, to keep you on the path he has laid out for you. So even when it's hard, trust his protection. Know that when he takes someone out of your life, it's for your own good, even if it doesn't make sense right now. God is always moving ahead of you, preparing the way and shielding you from what you cannot see. When God removes someone from your life, it's not rejection, it's redirection. So often we take these moments of separation personally, feeling abandoned or cast aside. But you must understand that God is not in the business of rejection, he's in the business of redirection. He's always guiding you toward his ultimate plan and purpose for your lives. Sometimes the relationships we cherish are not aligned with where God is taking us, and he steps in to redirect us towards something better, something more suited to his vision for our future. You see, what feels like a setback is actually a setup. God's redirection is his way of leading you away from what is holding you back and guiding you toward what is meant for you. When someone is removed, it's because their role in your story has come to an end. And that's not a bad thing, it's part of growth. Just as a tree sheds its leaves to prepare for new seasons, God will prune away relationships that are no longer bearing fruit in your life. Instead of mourning what you think you've lost, embrace where God is pointing you next. His redirection is not to harm you, but to place you on the right path, the path that leads to your destiny. You may feel confused or hurt in the moment, but trust that God is positioning you for greater things. The people who leave were never meant to be part of the destination God has prepared for you. Their exit is making space for what's next, for new relationships, opportunities, and growth that align with his purpose. So don't see it as rejection. God's redirection is his loving hand guiding you closer to your true calling. He is orchestrating everything for your good. Trust in the process, because the path God is leading you toward is always greater than the one he is leading you away from. When God removes someone from your life, he is creating space for new growth, for new opportunities, and for new relationships that align with his purpose for you. Sometimes we get so attached to what is familiar that we forget God's plan is always to expand and elevate us. But you cannot grow without making room for the new things God wants to bring into your life. You see, God isn't removing people just to leave you empty. He's making room for what's next. It's like a gardener pruning a tree, cutting away the branches that no longer bear fruit so that new ones can grow. In the same way, God is pruning your life. He is removing what no longer serves you, what no longer helps you to flourish, so that new blessings and opportunities can take root. If you hold on too tightly to what God is trying to remove, you limit the new things he wants to pour into your life. Sometimes the people around you are blocking the very blessings God is trying to bring your way. Their presence, their mindset, or their influence might be keeping you from moving forward. But when God removes them, he is opening the door for growth. He is giving you space to develop into the person he created you to be. Without that removal, you might remain stagnant, stuck in a cycle that no longer serves your destiny. You must trust that when God takes something or someone away, it's because he is preparing to give you something greater. There's a divine exchange happening. God never leaves you in a void. The space he creates by removing certain people is meant for something far more valuable, something that will elevate you, align you with his purpose, and push you toward your calling. So instead of focusing on the loss, focus on the space that God is creating in your life. It is in that space where new dreams, new connections, and new opportunities will be planted. And as you walk in faith, you will see that God is filling that space with things far greater than you could have imagined. Not everyone in your life is meant to stay forever. There are seasons in your journey, and just as seasons change, so do the people that God brings into your life. Some people are only meant to be with you for a time, to help you grow, to teach you something, or to assist you in a particular season. But when that season ends, God will remove them to make way for what's next. You see, we often struggle because we want to hold on to everyone. We think that just because someone was important in one season of our life, they should be with us forever. But God knows better. He knows who needs to be with you in each phase of your journey. There are people who helped you, supported you, and guided you, but their role is complete. It's like actors in a play. Each one plays their part, but not every actor stays on stage for the entire performance. When their scene is over, they exit, making room for others to step in. When God removes someone from your life, it doesn't diminish the importance of the role they played. It simply means their purpose in your life has been fulfilled. And just as they came into your life for a reason, their departure is also part of God's plan. Sometimes we become too comfortable with certain people and we rely on them more than we rely on God. And when that happens, God may remove them to remind us that our ultimate dependency must always be on Him. The challenge is to recognize when a season is over and to let go with grace. Holding on to people whose time in your life has passed can delay your progress and keep you from stepping into the next phase of your destiny. It's not about abandoning people. It's about understanding that their chapter in your story is complete. Their exit is not the end. It's the beginning of a new season, a season filled with new people, new opportunities, and new growth. Trust God's timing. He knows the ebb and flow of relationships and seasons better than we do. The people He removes were important for where you've been, but they might not be equipped to go where God is leading you next. So thank God for their presence, but be willing to embrace the new season He's calling you into, trusting that He is always guiding you towards something greater. When God removes someone from your life, don't chase after them. We often make the mistake of trying to hold on to what God is trying to remove. We get caught up in the idea that we need certain people, that without them we can't move forward. But let me remind you, if God has removed someone, it's because their purpose in your life is complete. Continuing to pursue those God has removed can hinder your progress and block the blessings He has prepared for you. You see, we must learn to trust God's judgment. He knows what is best for us. Sometimes in our limited perspective, we think we can't live without certain people, that their absence will create a void. But God sees beyond the moment. He knows that if they remain, they could distract you, drain you, or even derail you from His plan. When God takes someone out of your life, it's not to hurt you, it's to protect you and position you for greater things. Too often, we hold on to relationships out of fear of being alone, fear of change, or fear of the unknown. But when you chase after those God has removed, you are essentially saying, God, I don't trust your plan. But I encourage you today to let go and trust. God knows who should be with you in the next chapter of your life and who shouldn't. If you keep clinging to those He has taken out, you may miss out on the new things He wants to bring into your life. Chasing after the past can prevent you from stepping into the future. When God closes a door, it's because there is another door waiting to be opened. But if your focus is on what's behind you, you may miss the opportunity that lies ahead. God doesn't want you to live in the past. He wants you to move forward in faith, trusting that His removal is always a step towards something better. So when people leave or when God removes them, release them. Trust that their time in your life has served its purpose. Don't mourn over what God is trying to move out of your way. Instead, thank God for the lesson, the growth, and the experience, but let them go. There are greater things in store for you, but you can only receive them when you stop chasing what's behind and start embracing what God has in front of you. When God removes someone from your life, it's a form of release. God is freeing you from attachments that no longer serve your purpose or your growth. Sometimes we are so tied to people emotionally, spiritually, or even mentally that we don't realize they are holding us back. God sees those invisible chains, and He knows that in order for you to step into your destiny, you must first be released from what is keeping you bound. You see, we often form attachments to people who were only meant to be in our lives for a season. We cling to relationships that once brought us joy or security, but now are only keeping us stagnant. God, in His love and wisdom, steps in to release you from those attachments. He knows that you cannot soar to new heights while carrying the weight of people who no longer support your journey. It's like trying to run a race while dragging unnecessary baggage. Eventually, it will slow you down or stop you altogether. God's removal is his way of cutting those cords, of breaking the ties that hold you to the past. It's a release, not just from the person, but from the emotional and spiritual weight they bring. When you are released, you gain the freedom to move forward unburdened by relationships that no longer align with God's vision for your life. That release opens the door to new opportunities, new relationships, and new possibilities that are aligned with where God is taking you. You might resist that release because it's uncomfortable. You might feel a sense of loss or even grief, but understand this, the release is for your benefit. God wants you to be free from distractions, free from negativity, and free from influences that could derail your purpose. When God releases you from someone, he's setting you up for something greater, something that will propel you toward your calling. So don't fight the release. Don't try to hold on to what God is breaking away. Trust that his removal is a form of divine liberation, setting you free from what no longer serves your future. Embrace the freedom that comes with his release, knowing that God is always working for your good. Let go of the past so you can step into the future he has prepared for you with an open heart and a clear mind, ready for the new blessings he's about to bring. When God removes someone from your life, it's a test of your trust in him. You see, we often claim that we trust God, but when he removes something or someone we're attached to, our faith is truly put to the test. It's easy to trust him when things are going our way, when life is comfortable, and when the people we rely on are still in our corner. But real trust comes into play when God shakes things up, when he takes away what feels essential to us. That's when we must ask ourselves, do we trust God enough to believe that he knows what's best, even when we don't understand? God is not just removing people randomly. He's orchestrating a divine plan for your life. And sometimes that plan requires a shift. People may walk away or relationships may end and you may not understand why. But the question is, can you trust that God is still in control? Can you trust that his thoughts and his ways are higher than yours? That's the real test. Faith is not just about believing when things make sense. It's about trusting God, even in the confusion, even in the pain of loss. Trusting God means believing that he is working all things together for your good, even when he removes the people you thought would always be there. It's about surrendering your will to his and recognizing that God sees the bigger picture. He knows who needs to stay and who needs to leave for you to fulfill your destiny. And when you trust him, you realize that his removal is not to harm you, but to help you, to guide you, and to protect you from relationships that would have ultimately hindered your purpose. When God removes someone, it's an invitation to deepen your reliance on him. Often we become too dependent on people instead of depending on God. And when those people are gone, we are forced to turn our eyes back to the one who has been with us all along. God wants you to depend on him fully, not on any person or relationship. His removal is a test of your faith, a challenge to lean into him and trust that he is leading you in the right direction. So when God removes someone from your life, don't see it as abandonment, see it as a divine test. It's your moment to prove that your faith is in God and not in the people around you. Trust that he is guiding your steps and his plans are far greater than anything you could imagine. Keep your focus on him and you will see that his removal was just a stepping stone toward your greater purpose. When God removes someone from your life, it's often a call for self-reflection and growth. You see, we are sometimes so focused on the external, on the people and relationships that we forget to look inward and examine our own hearts and actions. God's removal of certain individuals is not just about them, it's about you. It's an opportunity for you to evaluate your own life, your choices, and your purpose. God uses these moments to highlight areas in your life that may need attention. When someone exits your life, it invites you to ask, what did I learn from this relationship? How did it help me grow? What traits or behaviors do I need to change? These questions are crucial because they lead to self-awareness and personal development. God wants you to become the best version of yourself. And sometimes that requires the removal of people who may have been enabling unhealthy patterns or stunting your growth. Furthermore, these moments can reveal the true nature of your own character. When someone is removed, how do you respond? Are you filled with anger or resentment, or do you take the opportunity to seek God for understanding? This is a critical moment of growth. It's easy to blame others for our problems, but God uses these removals to help us take responsibility for our own lives. It's a chance to grow spiritually, to strengthen your character, and to develop resilience. Moreover, God desires to prepare you for what's ahead. He knows that you may need to strengthen certain areas of your life before you step into the next season He has for you. The removal of certain individuals is often a way to free you from distractions, enabling you to focus on the work God is doing within you. He is crafting your character, developing your faith, and preparing you for the opportunities that lie ahead. In this way, God's removal of people serves as a catalyst for your personal growth. It's a moment for introspection where you can gain insight into who you are and who you are becoming. Embrace this opportunity. Seek God's wisdom in the aftermath of a removal. Understand that growth often comes through discomfort and change. Allow God to work in you during this time, transforming your heart and renewing your mind so that you can emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with His purpose for your life. When God removes someone from your life, it's often a preparation for your next season. God is a master architect, carefully designing your life with purpose and intention. Each season comes with its own set of experiences, lessons, and relationships that are crucial for your growth and development. However, not everyone can walk with you into the next phase. Some individuals are only equipped to accompany you in the previous season. They cannot be part of what's coming next. This is why God orchestrates these removals. He knows that in order for you to fully embrace the new season He has for you, certain relationships must end. It's like preparing for a great adventure. You wouldn't take unnecessary baggage with you when embarking on a journey. Instead, you would travel light, ready to receive what lies ahead. God desires for you to shed the weight of past connections that could hinder your progress. Think about it. Each new season in life often requires new skills, new perspectives, and new people. When God is about to elevate you, He will remove those who may not understand your new vision or who might discourage you from pursuing your dreams. Sometimes those individuals are not intentionally harmful. They may genuinely care for you, but simply lack the capacity to support the next chapter of your journey. Their presence might inadvertently keep you anchored to old patterns of thought, old ways of doing things, and old habits that do not align with the new direction God is taking you. Moreover, God uses these moments to prepare you spiritually and emotionally. The removal of certain people often comes with the opportunity for deepening your relationship with Him. It's a chance for you to lean into God's wisdom, guidance, and support as you transition into a new phase. When the familiar faces are gone, you might find yourself turning to God more than ever, seeking His direction and clarity. This deepening relationship is essential for your growth and for your ability to navigate the challenges that may come with your new season. Embrace the preparation that God is undertaking in your life. He is not just removing people for the sake of it. He is strategically positioning you for what's next. Trust in His timing and His plans, knowing that He has a purpose for every transition. As you let go of what was, open your heart to receive what God has for you in this new chapter. Prepare yourself for the new experiences, relationships, and blessings that are on the horizon, and remember that God is always leading you toward your greater purpose. In closing, let us remember that when God removes someone from our lives, it is not an act of cruelty, but a divine intervention aimed at our growth, healing, and preparation for the future He has designed for us. Every removal serves a purpose, guiding us toward the destiny He has set before us. It's essential to embrace these moments as opportunities to deepen our trust in Him, to reflect on our own lives, and to understand that not everyone is meant to journey with us through every season. As we navigate the complexities of relationships, let us release the fear and uncertainty that often accompany these transitions. Trust that God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly what we need to fulfill our purpose. The people He removes may have played significant roles in our past, but they do not define our future. We must be willing to let go of what is no longer beneficial and open ourselves to the new blessings and opportunities that lie ahead. So when faced with the departure of someone close, instead of mourning the loss, celebrate the freedom it brings. Acknowledge the lessons learned, the growth achieved, and the clarity gained. Understand that God's plan is always better than our own. He is preparing us for greater things, positioning us for success, and equipping us for the journey ahead. Let your heart be filled with hope and expectation. Trust that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail of your life. Embrace this divine process and know that as you step forward, you are not stepping into emptiness, but into a season rich with promise and possibility. Keep your eyes fixed on Him, and you will see that every removal is a step toward your ultimate purpose and destiny in Christ. Life operates in cycles, and nothing in this world remains static. The same hands that held power yesterday might find themselves empty tomorrow. The positions of influence, the platforms of recognition, and the privileges we often hold on to so tightly are temporary and trusted to us for a season. If we fail to honor the responsibility that comes with them, we will see how swiftly life moves to replace us. Throughout history, we've witnessed how even the greatest of leaders, the strongest of empires, and the most celebrated of individuals were eventually replaced. It's not because they lacked talent or brilliance, but often because they forgot the purpose of their position. They let pride, complacency, or selfish ambition blind them to their greater calling. Every position you hold is not just for your benefit, it's for serving others, for advancing a cause beyond yourself. If we misuse what has been given to us or neglect the people connected to our purpose, someone else will be raised up to fulfill what we were meant to do. It is a principle as old as time itself. The mission is always greater than the messenger. When someone betrays your trust, undermines your worth, or disregards your contributions, it can be tempting to question your own value. But rest assured, those who misuse their influence or mistreat others will not remain in their places of authority forever. Their time will come to an end. The very doors they slam shut on others will open to someone else. Character sustains what talent cannot. Without integrity, any foundation built will crumble under the weight of selfishness. When people choose to act unjustly, they position themselves for their own replacement. The seeds of dishonor they plant in others' lives will bear fruit in their own. You are not forgotten. The one who sees all things, who sets the seasons and appoints the times, is watching. He knows how to lift one up and bring another down. So when you encounter betrayal, mistreatment, or disrespect, remember this: you don't need to fight battles that time and truth will handle. Those who thought they were irreplaceable will soon find that their season is over. Stay focused. Your role, your purpose is not to retaliate, but to grow, to serve, and to prepare for what's next. Keep your heart pure, your hands clean, and your vision clear. In due time, the balance will shift, and you will see that no one who misuses their place in your life will go unnoticed. Their chapter will close, and the story will continue, just with a new name in their place. Life moves in rhythms and seasons, constantly shifting and evolving. Nothing remains fixed or permanent, no matter how secure or enduring it may appear. This is the natural order of existence, where time itself ensures that stagnation is never the final state. Just as day gives way to night and seasons transition from one to the next, so too do roles, positions, and circumstances. What you hold today is not guaranteed tomorrow. The influence you wield, the relationships you cherish, and the opportunities you enjoy are all part of a cycle that flows and transforms. Sometimes we can become so attached to what we have that we forget this essential truth. We begin to believe that our place is unshakable, our authority is absolute, and our control is indefinite. Yet history, nature, and even personal experience remind us that everything is entrusted only for a time. This truth is not meant to instill fear or insecurity, but rather to cultivate a deep awareness of the responsibility that comes with each season. It challenges us to ask, are we using our time, our positions, and our influence wisely? Are we honoring the purpose behind what has been entrusted to us, or have we allowed complacency or entitlement to take root? When we fail to acknowledge this cyclical nature of life, we set ourselves up for a rude awakening. Just as the tide comes in and recedes, so too will circumstances shift. Those who cling too tightly to their current state often find themselves unprepared for the inevitable change. They resist what cannot be stopped, holding on to what was never meant to be permanent. Understanding the transient nature of life allows us to approach each moment with gratitude and intention. It keeps us humble, knowing that nothing is truly ours to keep forever. Instead of being paralyzed by the fear of change, we can be empowered by the opportunity to grow, adapt, and embrace the new chapters that lie ahead. This principle applies to everyone, no matter their status or influence. No one is exempt from the ebb and flow of life. Even the mightiest positions and the most secure roles are subject to change. The only constant is the truth that life continues to move forward with or without us. Those who recognize this and align themselves with the natural rhythm of life are the ones who thrive, while those who resist it often find themselves replaced by others who are ready to carry the purpose forward. Misuse of what has been entrusted to you is the quickest path to losing it. Every position, relationship, or opportunity comes with a responsibility, a purpose tied to its existence. When that purpose is ignored, neglected, or abused, the very foundation of what you hold begins to erode. Life is governed by principles, and one of the most consistent is that what is mismanaged will inevitably be taken away and given to someone else. People often forget that positions of power or privilege are not designed for personal gain, but for service and stewardship. When someone allows pride, selfishness, or complacency to take control, they lose sight of why they were entrusted with their role in the first place. They begin to exploit their position for their own benefit, forgetting the needs of others or the greater purpose they were meant to serve. This mindset not only weakens their influence, but also signals to life itself that they are no longer fit to lead or hold that role. History is filled with examples of individuals who misused their influence and were swiftly replaced. Leaders who governed with arrogance instead of humility, caretakers who prioritized themselves over those in their care, and friends who betrayed trust instead of nurturing loyalty, each found their positions slipping away as others rose to take their place. Misuse invites consequences, and life is relentless in ensuring that those consequences are felt. The act of misusing what has been given is a form of dishonor. It dishonors not only the role itself, but also the people connected to it. Whether it's a position of leadership, a trusted relationship, or a unique opportunity, everything entrusted to you carries a weight of responsibility. When you fail to carry that weight, it is only a matter of time before someone else is prepared to step in and fulfill what you neglected. Life abhors a vacuum. And where there is neglect, a replacement is inevitable. Even in personal relationships, this principle applies. If someone mistreats or undervalues those around them, they create space for others to step in and provide the care and respect they fail to offer. The same hands that push people away often find themselves empty, watching as others do what they should have done. It is a sobering reminder that nothing is truly ours to misuse without consequence. The power, influence, or opportunities you hold are not guaranteed forever. They come with expectations, and when those expectations are unmet, they will move to someone else who is willing to honor them. Life ensures that what is neglected or abused does not remain stagnant, but shifts to a place where it can thrive. Every role you step into carries a greater purpose, one that extends beyond your personal desires or ambitions. Positions of influence, authority, or even simple relationships are never solely for your benefit. They are opportunities to contribute to something larger than yourself. The moment you lose sight of this truth, the very reason for your role begins to dissolve and the value you bring diminishes. Purpose is the foundation of every position. It's not about the title you hold, the recognition you receive, or the power you wield. It's about the impact you create, the lives you touch, and the mission you advance. Without purpose, even the most significant roles become empty. People who focus only on what they can gain from their position, rather than what they can give, risk becoming irrelevant. The role will remain, but life will ensure that someone else steps in to fulfill its true purpose. Consider the leader who sees their position as an opportunity to dominate rather than to serve. Their actions may bring temporary success, but without aligning with the higher purpose of leadership, empowering and guiding others, they will eventually be replaced. The same applies to personal relationships. A friend, partner, or family member who takes their role for granted, focusing only on what they can receive, will find themselves replaced by someone who understands the purpose of connection, mutual support, growth, and love. Purpose ensures longevity. When you align your actions with the deeper reason behind your role, you create a foundation that is hard to shake. Those who focus solely on self-promotion or personal comfort are building on sand, while those who operate with purpose are laying bricks on solid ground. The difference becomes evident over time. One is swept away when the tides change, the other stands firm. This understanding transforms how you view your place in the world. You begin to see every opportunity as a responsibility. You stop asking, what can this position do for me? And start asking, what can I do to fulfill the purpose of this position? It shifts the focus from self-centeredness to service, from entitlement to accountability. When you understand that purpose is greater than the position, you also realize that the position itself is not what defines you. You are defined by how well you fulfill the purpose behind it. A title or status can be taken away, but the legacy of purpose-driven action remains. Those who serve their purpose diligently are never truly forgotten, even when their roles change. On the other hand, those who misuse or neglect their purpose will find themselves swiftly replaced, for life always ensures that its purposes are fulfilled, even if it means raising someone else to do it. Talent and ability may open doors, but it is character that keeps them open. Character is the foundation upon which trust, influence, and success are built. Without it, even the most skilled individuals will eventually falter. Talent can dazzle, charisma can attract, and intelligence can impress. But none of these can sustain a position of influence if integrity and strong moral values are absent. Character acts as the anchor in the storms of life. It is what keeps you steady when challenges arise and what ensures you make decisions that honor both your role and the people who depend on you. Without character, power becomes dangerous, influence becomes manipulative, and relationships become transactional. The absence of character leads to a collapse, often dramatic and irreversible, because it strips away the trust that others have placed in you. When someone lacks character, their actions are guided by self-interest rather than by principles. They prioritize personal gain over collective good, short-term wins over long-term impact, and convenience over commitment. This approach may yield temporary success, but it is never sustainable. Sooner or later, cracks begin to show, and the same people who once trusted and supported them begin to withdraw. Trust is hard-earned and easily lost, and once it is broken, regaining it is nearly impossible. Life itself tests character. It places people in situations where they must choose between what is easy and what is right, what benefits them personally and what serves a greater purpose. Those who consistently choose integrity, even at personal cost, prove themselves worthy of the positions they hold. On the other hand, those who compromise their principles for convenience or advantage reveal their unsuitability for the role. And when this becomes evident, life has a way of moving them aside to make room for someone better suited to carry the mantle. Character also ensures humility, an essential quality for maintaining influence. People who possess true character understand that their role is not about them, it is about the purpose they serve and the lives they impact. They do not cling to power out of fear of losing it, nor do they abuse their authority for personal gain. Instead, they use their position to uplift others, build trust, and create lasting value. This humility, born from character, makes them resilient and adaptable, ensuring they can navigate change and remain relevant even when roles shift. Those who lack character, however, often rely on superficial qualities to maintain their influence. They may use charm, fear, or manipulation to stay in control, but these tactics cannot last. The truth always emerges, and when it does, it exposes their flaws and accelerates their fall. Without the foundation of character, even the most talented and influential individuals are like houses built on sand, impressive to look at, but doomed to collapse when the storms come. Ultimately, character is what separates the temporary from the enduring. It is the invisible force that sustains trust, inspires loyalty, and ensures that influence is used for good. Those who neglect their character, no matter how talented or skilled they may be, will find themselves replaced by those who understand that character is not optional, it is essential. Life does not reward those who are merely capable. It rewards those who are trustworthy, principled, and guided by a moral compass that never wavers. Pride blinds people to their own weaknesses and sets them on a dangerous path toward replacement. It creates an illusion of invincibility, making individuals believe they are untouchable, indispensable, or immune to the natural cycles of life. Pride whispers lies, convincing people that their talents, positions, or influence are the result of their own efforts alone, disconnected from the greater forces that place them there. This inflated sense of self-worth becomes their downfall as it blinds them to the signs of change, correction, and opportunities for growth. Pride is deceptive because it often begins subtly. It starts with small thoughts of superiority, feeling slightly more important than others, or believing that your contributions outshine those around you. Over time, it grows, feeding on accomplishments, accolades, and the admiration of others until it becomes a barrier between the individual and reality. Prideful people stop listening to feedback, dismissing it as unnecessary or beneath them. They reject advice thinking they know better. They fail to recognize their mistakes, believing they are above reproach. This attitude isolates them as those around them grow weary of their arrogance and begin to distance themselves. The truth is, pride creates blind spots. It prevents people from seeing the cracks in their character, the shifting dynamics of their roles, and the opportunities they are squandering. Pride makes individuals resistant to change, unwilling to adapt, and unable to recognize when their time in a position is drawing to a close. Instead of preparing for what's next or mentoring someone to take their place, they cling desperately to what they have, not realizing that this very act accelerates their replacement. Life resists pride because pride is inherently destructive. It alienates others, fosters resentment, and corrupts the very positions it seeks to protect. Prideful leaders lose the loyalty of their teams because their arrogance pushes people away. Prideful friends and partners damage relationships because they prioritize their ego over mutual respect. Prideful individuals in any role eventually find themselves surrounded by discontent and distrust as others see through the facade and grow tired of their self-centered behavior. On the other hand, humility safeguards against the dangers of pride. Humility allows people to acknowledge that their position is not a right but a privilege entrusted to them for a time. It helps them see their strengths and weaknesses clearly, accept feedback with grace, and remain open to growth. Humble individuals do not fear being replaced because they understand that life is a cycle and their role is not about holding on to power but about fulfilling a purpose. They focus on leaving a legacy, ensuring that when their time comes to step aside, what they built will endure and thrive. Pride, however, refuses this perspective. It clings tightly to the present, unwilling to let go or share the spotlight. It views others as threats rather than collaborators, competitors rather than partners. This mindset not only isolates the individual, but also sets the stage for their downfall. Life does not tolerate arrogance for long. When someone becomes too consumed by pride to see beyond themselves, they create space for someone else, someone more humble, more prepared, and more aligned with the purpose of the role to step in and replace them. This is why pride always precedes a fall. It blinds people to the reality that no position is permanent and no role is immune to change. It prevents them from recognizing the signs of their own decline, leaving them unprepared when the moment of replacement arrives. Those who allow pride to govern their actions may hold on for a time, but eventually life will correct the imbalance. Pride destroys from within, ensuring that those who cling to it cannot remain where they are for long. It is a warning, not just to those who are currently prideful, but to everyone to remain vigilant and grounded, understanding that humility, not pride, is the key to sustaining any role or position. Entitlement is a silent destroyer, creeping into the minds of those who forget that every opportunity, role, or relationship is a privilege, not a guaranteed right. It creates a dangerous mindset that assumes permanence, convincing people that their position is secure simply because they occupy it. This belief leads to complacency, carelessness, and a gradual erosion of the qualities that earned them their place in the first instance. Entitlement blinds people to the reality that nothing in life is owed, and everything requires continuous effort, gratitude, and stewardship. When someone begins to feel entitled, their attitude shifts. They stop valuing the opportunities before them, assuming those opportunities will always be available. They neglect the responsibilities tied to their role, focusing instead on their personal comfort or desires. They stop investing in the relationships that support their position, taking others for granted. Entitlement removes the urgency to grow, improve, and serve, replacing it with a false sense of security. It creates a disconnect between the individual and the purpose they were meant to fulfill, leading to stagnation and eventual irrelevance. The danger of entitlement is that it fosters neglect. When people feel they are owed something, be it loyalty, respect, or success, they stop putting in the effort to maintain it. A leader who feels entitled to their position may stop listening to their team, dismissing their concerns or input. A partner who feels entitled to love may stop nurturing the relationship, assuming the other person will always remain committed regardless of how they are treated. An employee who feels entitled to their job may stop striving for excellence, believing their presence alone is enough. This neglect creates cracks that eventually lead to collapse. Entitlement also breeds arrogance. It makes people believe they are irreplaceable, that no one else can do what they do or bring what they bring to the table. But life does not reward arrogance, it rewards humility and dedication. The moment someone believes they are irreplaceable is often the moment they are closest to being replaced. Life has a way of reminding us that no position, role, or relationship is guaranteed. There is always someone waiting in the wings, ready to step into a role that is not being properly honored or fulfilled. Gratitude is the antidote to entitlement. Gratitude keeps you grounded, reminding you that every opportunity is a gift, not a guarantee. It shifts your focus from what you believe you are owed to what you can contribute. A grateful heart acknowledges the effort required to maintain any role, the relationships that support it, and the responsibilities it entails. Gratitude fosters a mindset of stewardship rather than ownership, ensuring that you remain engaged, attentive, and invested in fulfilling your purpose. Entitlement, however, resists gratitude. It clings to the idea that the position exists to serve the individual rather than the other way around. This attitude inevitably leads to failure because it disregards the principles that sustain success: diligence, humility, and purpose. Entitled individuals often find themselves blindsided when they are replaced because they fail to see the warning signs, the growing dissatisfaction of others, the shifting dynamics around them, or their own declining performance. They are so consumed by the belief that their position is secure that they fail to protect and nurture it. Life is not partial to entitlement. It removes those who take their roles for granted and replaces them with those who understand the weight of responsibility and the importance of gratitude. People who remain vigilant, who value their opportunities, and who continuously strive to honor their roles are the ones who endure. Those who allow entitlement to cloud their judgment, weaken their effort, and distort their perspective inevitably find themselves displaced. Not because the role ceased to exist, but because they ceased to fulfill it. Let this be a reminder to never take any position, relationship, or opportunity for granted. Every role you occupy, every responsibility you hold, and every connection you share is a trust, not a right. Treat it with care, nurture it with effort, and approach it with gratitude. For the moment you assume it is yours by default is the moment you risk losing it to someone who values it more. The lack of preparation is one of the most common reasons people lose their positions, opportunities, or relationships to others. Preparation is the unseen foundation upon which success is built, and without it, even the most talented, intelligent, or charismatic individuals are vulnerable to being replaced. Life does not reward potential alone, it rewards those who are ready. It is not enough to merely occupy a position or have access to an opportunity. Sustaining that position and maximizing that opportunity require constant readiness, adaptability, and growth. When someone fails to prepare, they are essentially choosing to remain stagnant while the world moves forward. They neglect to anticipate challenges, plan for the future, or sharpen the skills necessary to stay relevant. This creates gaps in performance, understanding, and execution that someone more prepared, will inevitably fill. Opportunities do not wait for those who are content with what they already know or have achieved. They favor those who are willing to put in the effort to be equipped for what comes next. Preparation is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. It requires foresight and discipline to recognize that what is sufficient for today may not be enough for tomorrow. The world is constantly evolving, and with it, the demands of every role, relationship, or responsibility. Failing to keep up with these changes is a surefire way to be overtaken by those who have been quietly working, learning, and positioning themselves for success. Often, the people who replace us are not more talented or deserving, they are simply more prepared. Neglecting preparation is particularly dangerous because it is often a gradual decline. It starts with small acts of complacency, skipping opportunities to learn, dismissing feedback, or delaying important tasks. Over time, these habits accumulate, creating vulnerabilities that go unnoticed until it is too late. The unprepared individual may feel secure in their role, unaware that their lack of growth is creating opportunities for others to rise in their place. By the time they realize the extent of their negligence, someone else has already stepped in, better equipped to handle the responsibilities they abandoned. Preparation is not just about acquiring skills or knowledge, it is also about mindset. A prepared person is proactive, always seeking ways to improve, adapt, and contribute more effectively. They anticipate challenges and position themselves to overcome them before they arise. They are not content with what they know or have achieved, but are constantly striving for growth. This attitude creates resilience and ensures that when change comes, as it inevitably does, they are ready to face it head on. On the other hand, an unprepared individual is reactive. They wait until challenges arise before attempting to address them, often finding themselves overwhelmed and ill-equipped. They rely on past successes to carry them forward, failing to realize that what worked before may no longer be sufficient. This reactive approach not only diminishes their effectiveness, but also makes them appear unreliable and incapable, paving the way for someone else to take their place. The truth is, life favors those who are ready. Opportunities naturally gravitate toward individuals who demonstrate competence, diligence, and foresight. When someone fails to prepare, they forfeit these opportunities to those who have invested the time and effort to be ready. It is not personal, it is the natural order of things. Just as nature rewards the seed that is planted, watered, and nurtured, life rewards the individual who takes the initiative to prepare for what they desire. Being prepared also fosters confidence. It allows you to approach every role or responsibility with a sense of assurance, knowing that you have done the work to succeed. This confidence is not arrogance, it is the quiet strength that comes from knowing you are ready for whatever comes your way. In contrast, those who neglect preparation often operate from a place of fear or insecurity, knowing deep down that they are not equipped to handle the demands of their position. This insecurity becomes evident to others, further diminishing their credibility and hastening their replacement. Ultimately, preparation is an act of stewardship. It is a recognition that every role, opportunity, or relationship entrusted to you requires care, effort, and intentionality. Failing to prepare is not just a disservice to yourself, it is a failure to honor the responsibilities you have been given. It is a missed opportunity to grow, contribute, and leave a lasting impact. Those who understand this truth and commit to preparation will find themselves not only retaining their roles but thriving in them, while those who neglect it will watch as others, more ready and willing, step in to take their place. The unwillingness to change is often the very thing that leads to a person being replaced. Change is inevitable. It is woven into the fabric of life. Nothing stays the same. Situations evolve, expectations shift, and the demands of every role or opportunity adapt to new realities. Yet some people cling to old ways of thinking, working, or interacting, refusing to embrace the transformation necessary to stay relevant. This resistance to change creates a dangerous disconnect between the individual and the environment they are a part of, making them increasingly obsolete in a world that moves forward without hesitation. When someone refuses to change, they fail to grow. They hold on to outdated methods or ideas, insisting that what worked in the past should suffice for the present and future. This rigidity blinds them to new possibilities, preventing them from exploring innovative approaches or learning from others. Over time, they fall behind, unable to meet the evolving demands of their position. Their refusal to adapt does not just affect their performance, it sends a clear message to others that they are unwilling to invest in improvement. This creates a vacuum that someone more flexible and forward-thinking will undoubtedly fill. Change requires humility. It takes the courage to admit that you do not know everything, that there is room for improvement, and that your current way of doing things may no longer be the best. Many resist change because it challenges their sense of security. They fear stepping into the unknown, where there are no guarantees of success. But avoiding change does not protect them, it weakens them. The longer they resist, the more unprepared they become for the challenges ahead. This fear of change becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, leading to the very failure they were trying to avoid. On the other hand, those who resist change become stagnant. They hold on to the illusion that stability is found in staying the same, failing to realize that stability comes from adaptability. As the world around them evolves, they become increasingly out of touch, unable to connect with the new needs and expectations of their role. This disconnect makes them less effective and opens the door for someone else to step in, someone who is not afraid to embrace the changes they resisted. Resistance to change also hinders relationships. Whether in professional or personal settings, relationships thrive on mutual growth and adaptation. When one party refuses to change, it creates friction and limits the potential of the partnership. In a workplace, it might mean an unwillingness to collaborate with new team members or adopt new systems. In a relationship, it might mean clinging to old patterns of behavior that no longer serve the partnership. This rigidity strains connections and pushes others away, making the resistant individual increasingly isolated and vulnerable to being replaced. Change is not just about adjusting to external circumstances, it is about internal transformation. It requires self-reflection and a willingness to confront areas of weakness or blind spots. Those who embrace change see it as an opportunity to become better versions of themselves. They recognize that growth is a lifelong process and that every change, no matter how challenging, is a chance to learn and evolve. This mindset sets them apart and ensures their continued relevance and success. The refusal to change, however, creates an environment of decay. Stagnation leads to irrelevance, and irrelevance leads to replacement. Life does not pause for those who are unwilling to move forward. The roles and opportunities they take for granted will naturally shift toward those who are ready to adapt and thrive in new circumstances. It is not a matter of if, but when someone else will step into the position they refuse to grow into. To resist change is to resist the very nature of life itself. Change is a gift, a tool for progress, and a pathway to greater things. Those who understand this truth and embrace change with humility and courage will find themselves at the forefront, leading and growing even in the face of uncertainty. Those who resist it will watch from the sidelines as others, more willing to adapt, step into the roles they once held. The choice is clear: evolve with the times or be left behind. The lack of commitment is one of the most dangerous traits that can lead to replacement. Commitment is the bedrock of success, the foundation upon which all achievements are built. Without it, even the most promising opportunities or the most gifted individuals can fall short. Commitment is what distinguishes those who merely start something from those who finish it, those who simply talk about their dreams from those who make those dreams a reality. In a world that demands results, commitment is the quality that ensures consistency and perseverance. When someone lacks commitment, they are showing the world that they are not fully invested in their responsibilities or relationships. And this is where vulnerability begins. To be truly committed means to be all in, to give everything you have, even when faced with challenges, adversity, or the temptation to give up. It requires the courage to stay the course, to continue pursuing a goal, even when the path is uncertain or difficult. Commitment is not about what you feel in the moment, but about what you are willing to endure and sacrifice for the sake of your mission, vision, or relationships. A lack of commitment undermines this perseverance. It causes a person to abandon projects or responsibilities at the first sign of difficulty, choosing the easier path over the one that demands effort and growth. This wavering commitment creates instability, not only in the individual, but in the relationships and projects they are involved in. And in this instability, someone with a deeper sense of commitment, will rise to take their place. The reality is that commitment requires consistency. It is not enough to be committed in the beginning or when things are going well. Real commitment shows up every day, even when circumstances change or the initial excitement fades. The lack of sustained commitment is like a fire that flickers out before it can warm anyone. Those who are truly committed understand that the process is just as important as the outcome. They know that the sacrifices they make today, the hard work they put in today, will lay the groundwork for future success. They do not look for shortcuts or easy solutions. They are willing to put in the time, energy, and focus required to see things through. And it is in this dedication that they earn the trust, respect, and opportunity that others who lack commitment will never achieve. Moreover, a lack of commitment reflects a lack of responsibility. It is easy to take on a role, responsibility, or opportunity, but true commitment comes from the willingness to fully own what is required to succeed in that role. Those who are unwilling to commit cannot be relied upon to carry out their obligations. They are unpredictable, often shifting focus or abandoning their tasks midway. In professional settings, this instability makes them a liability, undermining the trust others place in them. This inability to follow through creates gaps that are quickly filled by others who are willing to take responsibility and deliver results. The person who lacks commitment cannot be counted on in the long term, and that lack of reliability makes them expendable. When someone lacks commitment, they also lack the perseverance to weather the storms of life. Challenges will always come. No one is exempt from difficulties. But it is the committed individual who rises to meet these challenges, who digs deeper and keeps pushing forward, even when the way is hard. The person who lacks commitment, however, will look for an exit at the first sign of resistance. They will search for reasons to quit, allowing obstacles to define their journey rather than seeing them as stepping stones toward growth. This lack of resilience will always be noticed. People do not want to invest their time, energy, or trust in someone who is quick to give up or who fails to follow through. In any environment, be it personal or professional, the reliable, committed individual is the one who remains, while the uncommitted one is replaced by someone more dependable. Furthermore, commitment nurtures growth and development. When you are committed to a goal, you are constantly seeking ways to improve, to evolve, and to adapt. The process of staying committed forces you to develop new skills, enhance your knowledge, and refine your strategies. Commitment ensures that you do not stagnate, but continue to evolve into a better version of yourself. The person who lacks commitment does not give themselves the chance to grow. They may remain comfortable in their current state, but growth and progress demand sacrifice and dedication. The uncommitted individual misses out on this vital aspect of personal and professional development, making them more likely to be left behind by those who are willing to evolve and improve. Ultimately, the lack of commitment signals a lack of value. When you are not committed to something, you are telling the world that it is not worth your time, effort, or energy. This devaluation is evident to everyone involved, and it erodes trust and respect. The relationships that could have flourished under the influence of someone who is committed are instead hindered by this indifference. When someone does not show commitment, they create an environment where others feel unsupported, undermined, or unimportant. This not only damages their own reputation, but also disrupts the flow of productivity, collaboration, and success within the team or community. As a result, others who understand the power of commitment will rise to take the place of those who fail to recognize its importance.